Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. As you know, I'm Travis Lott. I'm the chair. I want to thank you for your interest in serving our judiciary. We have an application from you for the county court seat. This is the first time you've appeared in front of our commission, so if you could introduce yourself and tell us about your qualifications for judicial office.
Absolutely.
Hold one second.
Oh.
No, so I just got to request the board to the file. I don't know if I denied.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
I'm okay with it. No, that's fine. First, I just want to say good morning and thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Kaitlyn Payne. I haven't had the opportunity to be before you today, so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. Thank you, Mr. Maddox, for asking that question. I wasn't born in Florida. I was born in New Jersey. I spent the first 18 years of my life there. I grew up under two parents that taught me immediately upon being born that civic service and giving back to the community is one of the most essential points of being a person. My father ran for zoning board when I was young. My mother worked for a local police station, and I saw them giving back to the community my entire life. When I moved here at 18, I knew Jersey wasn't going to be the place for me. I always wanted to come down to Florida, and I came here when I was 18 years old, and I attended Flagler College. Immediately upon attending Flagler College, I found a women's community service organization called Phi Alpha Omega. I know it sounds like a sorority, I promise it's a women's community service organization. And that got me really involved in the community here in St. Augustine. We were involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We worked with the St. Francis House. We worked with the Homeless Coalition. And we did numerous events throughout the year that kept us involved in this county and in St. Augustine, in the city proper specifically. When I went to law school, I really wanted to maintain my relationship with St. Augustine. I went to Florida Coastal in Jacksonville. I tried to remain living here. The commute got to me. But so I did end up moving up to Jacksonville, but I still tried to remain true to who I believed that I was and giving back to this community and coming to St. Augustine. And I, as an alumni, I went back and still volunteered through Phi Alpha and helped them with organizational things that they were doing and basically helping this community and stayed involved in St. Augustine. Once I graduated from law school, I did tax law for, I think it was about 6 months, and that was just not up my alley. I always knew I wanted to be a prosecutor. And shortly after graduating and being sworn in, I was able to become a prosecutor here in the Seventh Circuit. The only opening that they had at the time was in Daytona. I started down there. I did just about a year. I think it was actually like a year and a day that I did in Daytona. And the moment that St. John's spot came open, I transferred up here. And then I was a prosecutor here in St. Johns County for the next almost 11 years until July of last year. Once coming up to the St. Johns County State Attorney's Office, pretty immediately, one of the attorneys who was heading up the legal intern program here left, and it gave me the ability to step in and get involved in that type of dynamic. And that is where I feel like my strength lies, is in the education of the law and in showing people how they can properly act in a courtroom, how to cross-examine, how to be in front of judges, how to properly really just exude confidence when you're in a courtroom. So I started leading the internship program, I believe it was in 2014, and I did that until I left in 2024. I've worked with numerous law schools, I've worked with undergraduate universities, and I've worked with high schools to bring people into the state attorney's office and show them what it was like to be an attorney here in St. Johns County. Since I've gone private with the firm that I'm at now, I've also taken that with me, and I've had interns with me that the firm typically didn't have. So it's just something that's near and dear to my heart and that I've tried to keep with me throughout my time as an attorney. I think educating and showing the younger attorneys and just people maybe that are even newer to the bar how St. John's works and how we do things around here is really important. It's something that I really hold dear to myself.
You said you always wanted to be a prosecutor, but you're a defense lawyer now.
I am.
So, what do you prefer?
So I was worried actually when I went to the private bar. I was concerned about how I was going to take it, how I was going to handle it. I was supposed to only be doing family law. That was the original plan when I went private. It was very easy to fall into criminal, and I am extremely humbled by the experience that I've gotten in coming to the private side and doing defense work. If you would have asked me a year ago as a prosecutor, if I thought I looked at the entire case and I took everything into consideration, I would have said absolutely, hands down, I do that every single day. And I truly think that I did. I think I was a very good prosecutor. But now coming on this side, what I'm able to see and the families that I'm able to talk to and the trickle down effect of everything that is involved on that other side, I feel like it's made me a more well-rounded individual and has really helped me to better myself as an attorney and honestly a human.
Can you name all the judges in St. Charles County?
I can. Can I go by floor?
Sure.
All right. So Judge Maltz, Judge McGillen, Judge Ferry, Judge Smith, and then on the second floor would be Judge Janesk, who's part-time here, part-time Putnam, and then Judge Woolsey, Judge Blocker, who's now left us, and Judge Christini, and then Denise Minch is the general magistrate, and Feliciano does the child supports. Feliciano, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, did I do it wrong?
100%. Okay. If you could tell us about your service, I think you're on the grievance committee.
I am on the grievance committee. I have been on that for almost 3 years now. I age off it in December of this year. The individual who's the chair right now, Heather Maltby, she will be getting off in just a couple of weeks. And so I will assume the role of chair of the grievance committee. I thought that has been such an experience for me. I really didn't know too much about it before getting involved in it. Obviously, I knew that we're held to a very high standard and lawyers need to be accountable, but I didn't really look into the process and how the grievance committee worked. And then upon taking on that role and being involved in kind of looking at what other attorneys are doing, I again feel like it helped to make me more well-rounded to see that there are people that are doing things that I might not agree with, but it also has given me the chance to give people grace and give people an opportunity to explain themselves. And I think to maybe help me on if I ever do have the honor of becoming a judge, to just have a better understanding of people that are in front of me, and that sometimes people have bad days. That doesn't mean that they are a bad person, and that maybe we can give them an opportunity to have another chance.
Order for the judicial conduct.
I have, Mr. Mydock, because I knew this question was coming. Immediately upon deciding that I was going to submit my application to this committee, I wrote out each one of the canons and I put them on my desk. While I am not a photographic memory, I think I could probably do at least the general synopsis of all 7 of them. I do know that canon number 7 is the one that is applicable to me right now as a judicial candidate.
How come you don't want to be a circuit judge?
I truly think that with my personality, with my temperament, and with just who I am a people's person. I want to be in the people's court. I want to be the person where you walk in and you have an experience. You might not agree with what I've said, but you're going to know that what I'm ruling on and what I'm doing is rooted in the law, and that there is consistency behind it. So I truly believe that I am best suited for a county court bench, not a civil court bench, because I think that I can help the most people and educate the most people in showing them who I am as an individual.
You're for FHP.
Yes, sir.
Do an interdiction. There's a good chance you could arrest somebody that could appear in front of you out of perseverance. How would you handle that?
So I think anyone that knows me and my husband absolutely knows that I don't let him tell me what to do. So that is not our relationship. I respect him wholeheartedly. I think he is probably one of the best cops that I've ever been around. He is a wonderful human, but that is not going to affect me in knowing how I'm going to act on the bench or how I'm going to appear before people. I am going to follow the law. The law is the law. And it doesn't matter if it's my husband, my best friend, or God saying otherwise. The law is the law, and that's what I'm going to do.
This is a big case of Spencer Pearson.
Yes, sir.
Touch on that for us, and I mentioned judicial restraint in your answer. Touch on that bit.
So Spencer Pearson is a case that really, it still sits with me to this day. I'm still pretty close with the family that was involved. We go to dinners and we still speak. I know that they were intending on writing me letters. They're just very busy in their own lives. But Madison was a 17-year-old, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the case, but she was a 17-year-old softball player at Ponte Vedra High who was horrifically involved in a stalking incident with an ex-boyfriend. He stabbed her numerous times, severed her spine, and it was pretty horrific. She's paralyzed from basically her chest down. She is amazing. I remember I walked into the hospital just several days after the incident happened because I felt that it was essential for me to be there for her and let her know that the state attorney's office at that time was on her side and there to support her. So I walked in there and she told me she was going to walk across the floor at graduation and she was going to walk to his sentencing. And that girl did both of those things. She is someone that is younger than me, but that I truly just think is an immense influence on my life and that I respect wholeheartedly. I wish her nothing but greatness. The worst part that I left the state attorney's office for family issues, which at this point have completely subsided and we're doing great and I'm in a great point with my family. But we weren't able to keep the case. I couldn't stay there through the fruition of it. I entered his plea with him and he pled no contest and it got pushed out for sentencing. But luckily I had wonderful people who came after me with Jenny Dutton and Sarah Thomas or Sullivan, sorry, her last name. And both of them were able to actually do the sentencing. I talked to the family at length during the sentencing. They were very worried, but they always said that they just wanted the best thing to happen. And I think Judge Smith did such an amazing job in showing judicial restraint. I understand that he gave a young boy a life sentence, but in that case, if you were not going to give life, I don't know what would have been a more appropriate sentence. But in his temperament and his demeanor from the bench and the way that he was able to talk to the family and explain things from the bench, I feel like really, even though the Mr. Pearson's family was going through a horrific moment in their life, I feel like they had to at least walk out of that courtroom and understand that what happened was justice and the law required, and that's why it happened.
What do you think you learned during the campaigning for Rick Mulvaney?
That was so much fun. I really, truly enjoyed it. Him and I started when there was only like 3 of us and we were in a pet paradise, like back room. There was dogs barking all around us. So it was quite the experience and I was young in law school, but I was able to learn exactly how to run not a judicial campaign, but a campaign, especially in Duval, which was such a big community. We had tons of grassroots efforts. We had telethons. We knocked on, probably thousands of doors. Just showed me what a good campaign looks like. I wish that the end result would have been different. I'm sure he does too, although he's doing very well just now. But I really, that was just an experience that showed me a lot more about campaigning and how to be electable, really how to maintain yourself, making sure that you have a solid financial committee and having all of that behind you so that way you're ready to run a campaign and do it. And I think that's what's going to help me if I am honored to get this appointment. Then I think that I have the ability to defend the seat because I have worked on that campaign. I have worked on my, one of my friends' father is a House representative in the state of Virginia. He retired. He was for many years though. And I helped on his campaign and I've helped on some other campaigns here and there along the way just because it's something that I find interesting and that I enjoy.
Do you have a judicial philosophy, and if so, what is
I
it?
do. I feel like I have had such a luxury of being in front of so many judges over the course of my career. Going on September will be 13 years. And in doing that, I've seen things from the bench that I think are good, things that from the bench that I just don't think were as great. And in doing that, I feel like I have, as a public service, I believe that a judge's role from the bench is not to impart their own personal bias and to make so that they are impartial in any way. It is to make sure that you're operating within the law and making sure that equal justice is done under it.
What do you think is your biggest strength as an applicant?
I think my biggest strength as an applicant is likely stems from the state attorney's office because of our caseload there and the amount of just influx of cases we constantly had. Everyone knows it's just an ever running machine. I think my time management skills are pretty on point, and I think that I would be able to run a docket and have my case management and set up in a very efficient fashion so that way the people that come before me feel like they got their day in court, they were able to say what they needed to say, but I also kept things very efficient and I kept them moving along. So I think that I would be very good at doing that, especially given a county court docket that's so massive as it is. I feel like I'm very just already acclimated with that environment and can handle it well.
Speaking about county court dockets, if you're appointed to the county court, would you transport inmates from the county jail to the courtroom to appear in front of you in person?
So I know that that's an issue with transport at with the sheriff's office, and it's something that they've worked out. For me personally, I think the inmates should be in court. I think that they need to be there. I think it's essential for the attorney-client relationship. I think it's essential for an individual who might be coming in and entering a plea. That could be, again, in county court. This might be the only time they're ever in court, and I don't think it's right for them to be sitting in the county jail and having to do it from there. I think being in court and actually feeling the physicality of that courtroom and knowing the amount of just weight on what you did and why you're there, and for everyone, is essential. Or people might not learn the lessons they should learn that first time they might be back before you. So I do think having people in the courtroom is important.
Questions? This is your opportunity for a closing argument to highlight anything you think is important that we may not have discussed.
Absolutely. I'll just do it as I did when I was a prosecutor and go with my overall themes of what I wanted you guys to learn about me here today. More than anything, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 4. And I try to instill good temperament on my children and strong regulation and structure. And I feel like just like the citizens of St. Johns County need structure, and they need to know that there is someone on the bench that, while they might not agree with what they're doing, they know that it is rooted in actual reason and in the law. So I really would like to just make sure that that is something that I exude from the bench, that everyone knows that they can wholeheartedly trust me and that I am impartial and that I am going to do what is right and based on the law. Beyond that, I don't ever walk into a room and think that I'm the smartest person in that room. I think I am at least humble in that respect, that I am all about education, but I'm also all about mentorship. If I don't know something, I know my civil experience might not be up there as high as some other individuals, but I'm going to find a mentor. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to make myself the most educated person in that room before I ever handle any of those cases. So I think my grit, I think my determination, and I think just who I am as a person is what's going to make me the best candidate to take the next county seat here in St. John's. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
We have Ms. Phillips. Is she on Zoom?
Yes.